Hey everybody, this is Volen in Pursuit of Art. A couple years ago, when I first started training to become an artist, so about 2013, I made a sketchbook on CG Hub, I think it was. It was an awesome place, and I used to post there almost every day, I think. And by the time CG Hub closed, I remember I built up like a lot of different relationships. There were a lot of cool people there. There was a lot of views on the sketchbook, and I thought that it had some value to it because I was realizing that as I was getting better, people were finding the sketchbook and were saying like, "Hey, it's awesome to see how you've progressed." And obviously, the YouTube channel and the blog and everything else is kind of a continuation of that thing. But the thing is that one day CG Hub just up and closed. Sketchbook was gone. All the people that were there were gone. And I realized if I do this again, if I do, let's say, concept art, which now the sketchbooks look kind of weird over there. I don't really get it anymore. It's like these weird squares all over the place and they're just like text and everything is all bunched up on my screen. I kind of didn't really get into it again, but what I realized is that if I just go ahead and post and just make up another sketchbook there, that website could close at any time again. And even though I've posted every single day and I've built like this one place where people can go to and look at all this stuff, and then later on when I'm better, they could just go and like see what the start is, see how I got there. And I realized that stuff could just be wiped out in a second. There's no guarantee that that's going to stay there. So I made my own sketchbook, and in typical traditional my type of fashion thing that I do is I just didn't tell anyone. I made it and I just put it away somewhere like, hey, this is a whole bunch of work over here that I've uploaded. It's cool. I'm not going to tell anyone about it because that's just how I do stuff. And then I'm going to go and do completely different things, and I'm going to get too busy with practicing something or learning something new, and I'm just not going to mention it, but it's good, so people should find it. Obviously no one knows about it. So I'm going to show you around now. I'm going to show you the sketchbook on the website that I built. It's got over 3-4 years worth of stuff, and we're at the end of almost at the end of 2016 now. So I'm going to upload this entire year at the end of the year. So up to 2015, everything is there. So 2013, 14, 15, plus whatever I've done before. I'm going to show you around now, and I'm going to show you where it is so you can go have a look for yourself and show your friends and your grandma, because I always have to mention a grandma in every video. Let's go. Alright, so here's the sketchbook, and if you haven't been on the website before, it's inpursuitofart.com, and there's actually a blog here that a lot of people may not have seen. This is the portfolio now, so this is the stuff that I'm trying to show. The sketchbook is the stuff that I wouldn't like to show. So that's the whole reason why it's there. So this is the blog now. There's actually a lot of writing here, a lot of other stuff that you can see. I used to keep calendars up until pretty much this year, and I used to have every single day for 2013, 14, and 15 with something that I would have done, however many hours I've done. You can see there's a lot of stuff on here, and I'm betting that almost no one's seen that. So here's the sketchbook now and what I wanted to show you, and I'll actually show you around. So this thing actually has hundreds and hundreds of images. It's not everything I've done, but it's a lot of what I've done since I've started. So top is the newest stuff, so 2015, and I've tried to give you guys brief descriptions of what's going on here. So becoming a concept artist, blah blah blah. 2015, again, I'll be uploading 2016 at the end of the year, early 2017. So 2015, third year, understanding fundamentals, so still working on basics, basically. More tools to learn, so 3D and some new different ways to do stuff, like 3D code, and taking a lot of classes, started taking courses this year and the year before. I've always been on a pretty tight budget, and I really couldn't afford to do a lot of stuff, but trying to loosen up that purse a little bit, and it's really good to get some help going on. So let me show you guys now from beginning to where we are. Let me just, if I just go from top to bottom here, just so you can get an idea of how much stuff is involved. So this is 2015, and again, this isn't everything. I do a lot of just sketching, which I can't upload, it's just too much of a hassle. This is just a lot of the stuff that I've ended up saving. 2014 now over here, so second year. And again, I'll probably actually start from bottom to top and just show you around and really try and see if I can help you guys find a way to interpret what's going on here, because it's just too much stuff and the average of everything is always going to look awful, most likely, but with each and every year, the average just goes slightly up. Like, I remember some of these. So this is like in 2014, in my second year, starting to try out some super basic stuff from imagination. I remember posting this thing. Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around how to get stuff done. Why does it look right? Like, what's going on? I'm using photo bashing, I'm using whatever other techniques I know I'm supposed to be using, and it just doesn't look right. And here's a takeaway from all this stuff, is that no single technique is gonna save you. This thing over here, actually, I did this before I even started training all the art stuff. And why I'm showing you this is because you can copy something and have zero understanding of how stuff works, and I really had zero understanding. I was actually looking at Bert Monroy at the time. Bert Monroy, he's a digital painter. He does a lot of realistic stuff. His style is what he calls hyper-realist, and what he was doing is that he would just show you a lot of different ways that you can use layers and filters and the pen tool and other stuff, and how you can create realistic stuff. So I was basically just using Photoshop. I wasn't really doing art at the time. I had no idea what to do. So scroll down to the bottom here. So let me just show you around. 2009. So I started officially 2013. 2009 is when I probably just first ever sat down and doodled something. Like, I just decided, I'm at university at this point, and I'm doing a film course. I've never been interested in film. I've never been interested in art and any of that stuff before, and I wasn't even interested while I was doing it. But while I was there, I did start getting interested in Photoshop and in just how visual stuff works, and it just grew from there. But 2009, just first ever doodle. So this is 22. At this stage, a lot of people are either professional or they are from, let's say, if it's from a couple hundred years ago, at this stage they may have been producing masterpieces. This is my masterpiece. I kind of always think of this guy as my first ever thing that I did, this wolf guy. And I would always have this as the benchmark for, hey, this is where I started from. So at this stage, I've probably gotten a lot better than I ever thought I could get, but I definitely don't feel like I know almost anything. So 2009, just first doodles. And the next couple of years was, I was still going through university. I was still doing a whole bunch of other stuff. I really wasn't focused at all. I was just first ever discovering things like graphic design and After Effects and stuff like just filming, using cameras, using photography. I did photography for a pretty long time. I had a DSLR, I bought a bunch of lenses, sold them all after I decided I'm gonna do the art stuff, because I just needed all the money I could possibly get so I could work less hours. So 2012, like that 3-year period over here, really not doing too much. 2012, just starting to get more interested, starting to try and figure out basics of how does stuff work, why do things look the way that they do, how can I reproduce something. So you can see all of these are just super basic value studies, trying to understand what it is that I'm seeing, or how to reproduce it, values, shapes, things like that. Everything was completely off because I really didn't know what to focus on, didn't know what to do. Like I've said in many other videos, I didn't even know the words for what I was supposed to learn. I didn't know there was such a thing as perspective. I had no idea about anything. I had no idea what I was even supposed to do to create something, which is why things like trying to do really small thumbnails was very fascinating to me, because I couldn't see anything until the point where I've put everything together and I can just look at it and like, hey, that's kind of like a picture. Like I can understand things that are on screen. I can kind of get the point of this thing. I can see stuff now, but I couldn't see it until like the very end. And I would get many things wrong because I would just have no training. I didn't know what to do. So 2012, getting interested, and then this is now 2013, is when I started. January 1st, 2013, I decided, okay, I'm going to take a year to learn how to paint, and I started from here. So these aren't completely chronologically arranged, so this is, I think, from April, May, so a little bit into the year. This is probably about 6 months in. This is completely rendered, by the way. So a lot, again, of just using Bert Monroy's techniques. This is probably a pen tool shape over here that I've created. Just locked it and filled it in with stuff. I couldn't do this without, from imagination, I couldn't do it at all. I would have to copy only. So 2013 was essentially just completely copying stuff. This is like an attempt at doing something from imagination. This is actually from looking at reference and trying to reproduce it, but without copying it completely. And they're all utter fails. And the reason why I'm showing you these is that these are not the portfolio. And a lot of people that you will go and try and look through how they've improved, you won't see any of the horrible stuff, because it's either just buried very deep down or it's just not available. What I'm trying to do is I'm actually trying to show you all the horrible stuff. Like a lot of these, you can see, like, there's no telling what these things are like. This is like one of my first ever things in colors. It kind of looks like a thing, but it kind of doesn't look like a thing. There's just no understanding of the fundamentals. And I thought at that time, I thought I knew them. I thought I knew them because I knew them as concepts. Like I could list the things that are important. I could tell you what you're supposed to do. But just putting in a lot of work, just daily, like I said, I had calendars that I would just work every day and just note down on the calendar how many hours I've done, what is it that I've done, always trying to get better. But really the whole entire 2013 is basically just learning to use tools, like just learning to use the brushes, learning to put the right shape in the right place, make edge transitions. You can see a lot of what's going on here. It's just really pasty, right? There's not any skin texture. I'm just trying to do things the best I can, and they're not coming out great, but I'm just slowly improving. And that's what I can say I'm doing right now also. Learning color, when I started doing art, the reason why I started is because I thought it was impossible. I thought if I could learn to do this stuff, if I could learn to do art, there's a Noah Bradley study over here. If I could learn to do art, I could do anything. And that's kind of a stupid test, because if you can do anything and you're now doing art and that's not what you want to do, okay, you've kind of proven you can do anything, but now do you start a new thing or do you stick with this thing? Anyway, though, you get the point that I started so low that I thought, hey, this is the thing that I'm worst at in life. If I could do this, there's nothing that I couldn't do. So I started with just trying to do all this stuff. I had zero advantages going for me. I didn't understand anything, didn't know anyone, didn't know what to study, didn't know how to do anything. This is an apple from 2nd of July. It's my birthday. So I remember when I was at this stage, I was like, yay, I'm working on my birthday and I made an apple and it's good. So what I'm doing here is, you can see it starts from value, and again, it's not completely chronological, but 2013, all this stuff that I'm doing is just, it's essentially value, trying to learn color. Like I was saying earlier, I didn't even know the names of a lot of colors. I would know like red, green, blue, whatever, but I wouldn't be able to tell you that it's a green with yellow. I wouldn't be able to tell you that there's a parent hue or any of that stuff. I had no idea. I would just know blue. I wouldn't know magenta, for instance. Like I didn't know the name for that color. I had to actually research that and find out, hey, this is called magenta. And what is magenta? Well, it's red with blue. Okay, well, what's purple? Well, it's the same, but it's a different mixture. So I really had absolutely nothing going on. Like, basic perspective here, and perspective is still something that I work a lot on, and it's just not getting any easier, and I don't expect it to get easier, but I will just get better with more practice. But what I'm trying to show you, I had nothing going on for me. There was zero things that I was good at, and the only thing that I did was just work on it every day. And again, this isn't everything. I also had sketchbooks going on that I would go, and when I'm on the bus going to work, I would sketch there, or I would just have reference that I would look at, or I would just, there's more things that I've done than these. So there's a couple hundred things on here probably per year. There's not as many, but a lot more going on. This is towards the end of the year, and this is one of the first finished pieces that I did. This is not from imagination. This is a figure from reference, and then this is from imagination in the background. But I just remember this is one of the first times that I tried to put something together. So the whole entire year I was just copying. I had really a tough time to change anything on an image. One of these ones, I'm scrolling back down, I will be going up in a sec. This guy, I changed the background of. And I remember just everything took me so much longer than it should have taken me. This was probably the original background, like some concrete gray type thing going on, because this is an urban environment I think that he was in. But then I just changed this and nothing made sense in my brain. Trying to change any one thing was like, well, what should I do? Should it be dark? Should it be light? What color should I pick? And what should I had no idea how to do anything. So making even a small change, like it's just a gestural background. But just putting that in was a ton of effort for me. I just didn't know what to do. I had no clue how to get it done. More Noah Bradley studies. I've done a lot of Noah Bradley studies. This is a Feng Zhu study over here. So more Feng Zhu. I would copy everything. Like this is like a little glue roller thingy that they use in my work. I would look at one of those in my lunch break, then I came back home and I tried to re-render it. Just everything would be, I would walk around at all times and just look for perspective or look for lighting or look for anything. And by the end of the year, these are, like the studies are starting to improve. This is from imagination, this is from reference, but I'm starting to be able to at least produce whatever it is that I see. So again, I'm sorry these aren't completely, and again, like how I said when we started, the average is always crap. This is true. I mean, you can see, hey, here we have some good stuff, and then all of a sudden you go here and okay, bam, more crap. The average of almost everything, and I remember this is from Anthony Jones also. There was a thing on Art Station on the YouTube. They had like a fireside chat with Shadi Safadi and Maciej Kuchara, a couple other guys, and he just said most of the stuff that they do is horrible and you just don't get to see it. This is where it is for me right now, and hopefully some people still don't get to see it, because otherwise probably think I'm completely horrible forever. So when you look through the sketchbook, it's basically going to be some finished and polished stuff, and the majority is going to be horrible stuff. The finished stuff is going to be improving, and just the horrible stuff is going to be improving also slightly. Like this is the entirety of the 3 years is just basically tiny improvements. And here's something that's a bit more finished. I did 2 master studies at the end of the year, and I did them in what I call a, what's my term for that thing? I was basically just breaking my head against the problem. It was the brute force approach of doing stuff. I didn't do this in a masterful way at all. There's actually a tutorial online. The first thing I ever posted on YouTube is this. And the way I did this was completely brute force. There was zero mastery in it. I couldn't produce the right shape, the right everything, and make it seem effortless. Everything was actually very much labored over. Everything was either a cutout shape that I would try and do and then lock it and then just try and build all the color gradations, and it was really just a lot of effort. I think this was about 15 days or something like that. The other one, if it's hopefully uploaded, was I think 17 days. I can't really remember them anymore, but they were just continuing to return back to the same problem over and over and over. So skipping over, I'm not too sure how long we're on the video over here. Where are we? Camtasia, 15 minutes. Well done, dude. I was hoping that we'll finish in like 10. Okay, so going faster over here. I can't believe this is still 2013. Okay, and this is the title and pretty accurate. Going all in, which is, okay, this is the year that I'm gonna learn how to paint. That's what I thought. I was learning how to work hard because I had no idea at that time, and I still can't really say that I have a great work ethic. I just do stuff every day, but I know I could be so much more efficient. Learning how to learn, developing the growth mindset, this is something that needs an entirely different video or a whole different channel about just knowing that you can improve and knowing you can be better. And understanding also how to improve, understanding your brain, things like that, things that I talk about a lot. There are also a lot of stuff on the blog. Apart from, there's a lot of inspirational stuff you can find over here. There was this one, there we go, the key behind progress and learning. A lot of this stuff is brain-based, and I think you'll find it very useful if you ever find the blog. 2014, I started with Scott Robertson's How to Draw. I think that's when the book came out, and started doing some perspective. I might be wrong, it might be the next year, so sorry about the timeline here. Started doing some 3D at the end of the year, which again, this is the beginning, sorry. Started doing some 3D, started learning some new tools and figuring out how to combine stuff, but my overall understanding is still, I'm just trying to find my way. I'm learning 3D now because I'm desperately trying to find ways around my limitations, which are that my perspective sucks, I don't understand how to make form, Even when I know how to make it, I can only copy it. I can't actually create it. So I'm really doing a lot of renderings. This is a lot of Scott Robertson's work. You can see on his channel a lot of rendering tutorials and things like that. Also, I'm using the word rendering right now, which it's kind of confusing because it's a 3D term, and I'll make separate videos for confusing art terms because there's basically words for everything that everyone uses however they want to. So I'll be making videos about that, also about just what do different terms mean and how can you understand them. A lot of these, when I look at them now, they look okay to me, but I know at the time when I was doing them, I just couldn't see well enough what I was doing. Or maybe I just always look back and think that I wasn't as good. Had a lot of trouble also. 2014, my girlfriend got sick and she also lost her job at one time. And this is what I meant about just changing something small. You can see I'm still going back to, I always go back to older stuff and try and improve it a little bit. Try and change small things because at this stage I'm really still very, very stiff. I can only do very small changes. And improvement is pretty slow, but it's steady and consistent. You can get better every day, but you can only improve by a little bit. So don't let that chance slide by. This is my first ever illustration. Like, I remember the day it was really difficult for me to do that thing. I had to go out and take a walk. Like, my head just felt like it was going to explode from trying to think of how to do this thing. I think I probably finished it in that very same day. I was trying to do a samurai before seppuku type thing. So it was my first ever illustration. It's kind of cartoony. That's kind of all I have to say about it. The pose came from reference, and again, I just could not figure out how to make anything without reference. So a lot of unresolved form, a lot of unrealistic lighting, things like that. But just keeping on trying stuff and just do it. Like, my studies were sometimes definitely not impressive. That's why a lot of the stuff that I post is just kind of mundane and everyday. It's because I think if you can deconstruct everyday stuff, then you can also push it to make it more interesting. This is just trying to composite 3D over photos. I was just trying to see if I could match the perspective in 3D. All kinds of different weird tests. Trying to sculpt stuff. So picking up some Zbrush as well. So Maya and Zbrush, I think, is what I was doing 2014. I'm kind of hoping this was like 2015 because I feel like I should have improved more in all that time, but more rendering. Also studied a little bit of facial expressions over here 2014, even though it's not really something I've spent too much time on. A lot of unfinished stuff. And things that kind of just trying to figure out the new tools now. So like, I just picked up drawing and painting just now, so that's all completely fresh. I had no idea how to use. Then all of a sudden now there's 3D and that's all these possibilities now of what could I be doing with all this stuff. So there's more experiments here. A lot of it is just trying to wrap my head around how stuff works. 2015, a lot of thumbnails and trying now to get more into doing stuff from imagination. Still sucking very badly at it. I actually had some work that I started doing in 2015 as well, and end of 2014. Work for one of these things is supposed to have gone somewhere. I really don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about it or not. I was kind of doing it for someone that was doing it for someone, and they never even knew who did it. For at the end of it, no one even knew who was doing all the work, which was me. And I really didn't care because all I wanted to do was that I could see that I could produce work. That's all I cared about. I didn't really mind. So more experiments, more materials, more different renderers now, more different tools, more different things. The average is hopefully going up by a little bit again. Like I said before, the average, even the most horrible pieces are hopefully getting better. This is now from memory. So I would look at something, close it, try and kind of do it. It's so-so. At the time I was happy with it. Now when I look at it, obviously it's way too chaotic and a lot of stuff going on, but hopefully you should be seeing holes in your work as you get better. More 3D. This guy, when I finished him up, I remember the day, I think it was like June, July, and I remember wrapping this up and I was like, okay, this is it. I have now become masterful. I have created this human, and this isn't the finished guy. It's probably going to come up at some point. And then I came back, looked at him like 3 hours later, and I was like, okay, this is complete crap. Back to work. I tried to do some work for free, so I didn't even get a reply from this guy. Probably I may have approached it a bit heavy-handedly, but at this time, There's this guy, Justin Wren is the name, and he was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how he's trying to help the pygmies, and I thought, hey, I'll make an image that tells this guy's story, and I couldn't even get it to him. So people that talk about doing work for free, sometimes you'll work for free and you won't even be able to get it to whoever you want to get it to. This is now the guy. I suppose he's okay, but there's a lot of extra work that could have been done here. Noses are always a difficult part for me. I can't seem to get the integration right, but something more to work on. Different tools again, like combining stuff now. Instead of just straight 3D or straight 2D, I'm trying to combine them. Where we at, Camtasia? 23. Okay, we'll wrap up in a sec here. So going up, this is Sulik, by the way. If you guys have played Fallout 2, I wanted to make Sulik where you meet him, like in, was it Becky's or wherever it was. I start like 2015, I suppose. The bigger theme for this, why I mentioned it, is I tried to start working on projects. I tried to come up with stuff that I'm gonna go ahead and I'll have a concept or I'll have an illustration and I'll try and finish it. And then this thing, if it opens, just more studies is what I had over here. Oh, there we go, it opened, I closed it. More studies. Yeah, these two are the references, this one is the study. Trying to use, I suppose, a bit more of a looser approach. These, when I look at them now, like they look better than I think I can do now. But at the same time, it's just another thing to practice. And also, if you watch Feng Zhu, he doesn't share his swatches, so I screenshotted them and I thought I'd use them. He said that you wouldn't be able to use them if you got them because you don't know how they're arranged, and I don't, and I didn't end up using them a lot. But I just wanted to say I've tried everything out there. I've looked at everyone's everything. It's probably not a tutorial I haven't seen. Trying to do some matte painting, also trying to paint over photos and do stuff, and I can't really say that I still have a grasp of this thing now. Like, I can't really say where I'm at right now. Like, after about 4 years, all I can say is that I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, the things that I was doing even a year ago, when I look at it now, it's like, okay, hey, that's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought. But at the same time, I'm really not too sure that I can push it much further than it was. This is from, I took some Learn Squared courses. So this is more tool exploration. I started now doing 3D Coat. And this is Zbrush. So I'm trying here, so 2015, 2016 is when I'm really trying to actually work on work. So instead of just working on skills only or figuring out how to do stuff, I'm trying to actually work on pieces the same way that I would work on a skill. So I'm trying to go back in there and really finish up and tighten things up. And a lot of this stuff I haven't even posted anywhere. Like, I would just do stuff. I mean, I'm sure you guys have noticed that I tend to disappear a lot, and it's just because doing videos actually takes up a lot of energy. I have to really think about what I'm going to say. After I'm done, I'm kind of drained. I can either focus on a concept I'm going to develop for a piece, or I can focus on a video and develop that. Which is why trying to talk to you guys a little bit more directly, hopefully, is going to be less of a stressor, and I can keep doing both my work and keep on improving. So this is up to 2015, and 2016 is going to be up, hopefully, end of this year. I'm normally late with all these things. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you struggle with. Let me know if you have some questions or things that maybe I'm not showing you. Because the thing is, look, I'm making the sketchbook, I'm making the blog, I'm making the videos based on what I felt was important to me that I didn't have when I was doing it. So I'm trying to offer it to you. But at the same time, when I, for instance, have students, when I talk to them, like, all kinds of stuff just pops up of like, hey, I never even considered that that's an issue, or I never thought that this could be interpreted like this. So let me know what you guys struggle with. Let me know what you'd like to see. Let me know if I'm not showing something, or really if I'm not presenting something the way that makes sense to you. Let me know what could be helpful. I'm also on Instagram, and I try and post every day. I have a DeviantArt thingy that I'm trying to get going. I'm also on ArtStation, but that's kind of mostly like a portfolio, I guess. So I don't do it too often, but it's also there, and I'll try and link up everything. So Facebook and Instagram, I try and post daily sketches, daily whatever it is that I'm doing. Best place to find me if you're looking to start a conversation is just leave me a comment here, because as long as I'm here, I will read through everything, and if I disappear, I apologize. Like I've said before, I will come back at some point. I will pick up your question, but something's probably come up, and I'm just trying to work on something and figure it out. but hopefully always able to come back to you guys and give you some lessons learned from it. So I don't disappear because I just don't want to be bothered. I disappear so I can get better, so I can perform better for you guys. That's all I have to say. Goodbye. I hope this was interesting and good. If it was, please share it with someone that might benefit. So there's a lot of people doing sketchbooks that hopefully might want to see something of like, hey, this guy sucked this much. It's gotten like this now. Okay, what happened? So please share this with anyone or anywhere, forums, whatever, that you think it might be useful. Thank you, and I will see you soon.